The Lakers make what is likely a franchise-crashing decision by hiring a podcaster as their head coach. The Clippers might get Paul George back by default. And Clayton Kershaw makes his first rehab start. Good morning. I'm James. This is your daily dose of sports and snark for the greatest sports city in the world, Los Angeles. This is the faithful Angelenos morning report. And I gotta tell you guys, I'm absolutely flabbergasted. We are gonna talk a lot about the incredibly bad decision that the Lakers made yesterday. It is June 21st, 2024, in a sense, a special edition of Faithful Angelenos. If you like being in the know about LA sports, clickety-clack the like button. Clickety-clack the subscribe button. There's a notification bell. Hit that and let you know when we drop new content. Sharing is caring. Let people know we exist. And by all means, comment. Now, before we go through the news and notes, a look at the scoreboard. Dodgers 5, Colorado 3. Gavin Stone improved to 8-2. Freddie Freeman, Will Smith, Shohei Ohtani, they all hit home runs for the National League West leaders. Meanwhile, New York 93, Sparks 80. The Sparks are 4-12, and the less said, the better. Meanwhile, today, Anaheim is in town to play the Dodgers at 7. The non-Angelenos versus the bona fide Angelenos. And this isn't saying about which team is more LA, like the Galaxy or LAFC, the Clippers or the Lakers. Even the fans of the Angels don't want to have Los Angeles in the team name. We already know this. London Knack, who is promoted to replace the injured Walker Buehler, is 1-1 with a 2.61 ERA. Patrick Sandoval, 2-8 with a 5.24 ERA. But let's get to the obvious top story. Okay, normally when a coach is hired by one of LA's pro or major college teams, I create a breaking news report. I did not this time because I don't just want to give you hot takes. That's not the point of this channel. You can get hot takes from anywhere, on TV, online. Virtually 65% of ESPN's programming right now is a bunch of blowhard sports writers in cheap suits calling each other names. Why? Other than cheap production value, why would I watch that? You're not breaking news. Same on Fox Sports 1, I might add. So I didn't want to give you a hot take. I spent the majority of my day yesterday researching new Lakers coach JJ Redick. And I went through a lot of sources. I was breaking down offenses. I was trying to do this, that, and the other. I was going through reports, going through rumors. And I got to tell you, after all that time, there is nothing about the hiring of JJ Redick that I can tell you is any good. I've been combing through a lot of things, trying to say that I can tell you something that is not guesswork. Something we could hang the hat on and say, this is a risk worth taking. But it's not a risk worth taking. Not when LeBron James is about to hit 40 or when Anthony Davis has hit his 30s. Remember that, by the way, when the scribes start talking about, oh, this is a job JJ Redick can grow into. James and Davis do not have time for somebody to grow into the damn job. Redick doesn't check any of the boxes for what you would want in a successful coach. Not one. He has no coaching experience. He doesn't have experience teaching other people techniques needed to become better basketball players. We have no reason to believe that he could choose his words carefully with the press because he worked for ESPN, which means it is more likely that he will leak stories to the press as opposed to protect his own locker room. He has no idea what Lakers culture is. He doesn't even agree with Lakers culture. Dig this. This is from when he was on the ESPN morning show back in 2022. Quote, until they start building their team like every other team in the NBA does, in the modern NBA, I don't think this is a good job. Unquote. And yet, JJ Redick took that job. When the job last went to Darvin Ham, I did my research. I can tell you why he was at least worth a shot. Had the job this time gone to UConn coach Dan Hurley, I was ready to break open all kinds of things and tell you why the risk of a college coach was worth it. I broke down Hurley's playbook to show you how it would help Anthony Davis, to show you how it would squeeze as much as they could out of LeBron James in his waning years, and how it would most likely develop either Austin Reeves or D'Angelo Russell into a needed major third scoring threat. In other words, I could detail for you how Hurley would be able to design a plan that would maximize the strengths and minimize obvious soft spots on this Lakers roster. Who believes Redick can do that? Who? Now, one of the interesting tidbits that was reported yesterday was Kobe Bryant allegedly can't stand, or couldn't stand, I should say, Redick. This is according to longtime NBA star Carmelo Anthony. Anthony, to be honest, I'm not sure Bryant had a good reason other than Team USA coach Mike Krzyzewski, how Krzyzewski couldn't stop raving about Redick, who he coached at Duke. Maybe that stirred up the old Mamba mentality. But I tell you something, there's something that tells me there's more than Kobe's ego as to why he didn't like him. Kobe may not have liked you on the court, but if you were really a competitor, he would still find a way to respect you. Now, some of you guys out there might correctly point out that Pat Riley went to the sidelines after working in the broadcast booth. True. There's a difference. Riley was already ingrained in Lakers culture. He was a Lakers employee. He knew what the Lakers wanted. And by the way, he was also an assistant coach. Let me repeat that. That is actual coaching experience before taking the head job. And he had Jerry West's ear. And by the way, there's no way that Riley would leak to the press because, first of all, when you sit next to Chick Hearn, there's no way you could get a word in edgewise with Chick Hearn. And Pat Riley was really protective of his players. Really protective. I covered the Lakers a little, and I'm here to tell you from personal experience, Riley was fiercely protective of them. If you asked a question he didn't agree with, like I did, he would rip you in front of people. I was one of those guys. So the scribes who like this hire, and there are some who do, they like it for selfish reasons. This is something that most of the people who like this hire are saying, quote, it'll be high risk, high reward. But either way, it'll be entertaining. In other words, the scribes get easy gossip columns to write about. Easy headlines, easy bylines. The Lakers are not in existence to entertain the scribes. They exist to win titles. The only thing that we can say with some degree of certainty is that LeBron James is not going to publicly disagree with Redick's offensive or defensive calls the way he did with Coach Ham, who, by the way, got the Lakers to a Western Conference Finals just 2 seasons ago. Ham had his faults, but I defy anyone tell me that they can prove JJ Redick is going to be a superior coach, because I did the legwork. There is nothing to suggest he can be. And finally, I want to repeat something I said about the Lakers as a franchise a couple of days ago. Their biggest mistake, perhaps in their entire history, is not patching things up with Jerry West before the man passed away. Dr. Jerry Buss knew he did not have basketball knowledge. He let Jerry West be Jerry West. And after Buss passed, the Lakers have devolved into some ridiculous, goofy melodrama with multiple blown lottery picks and a general manager and Rob Pelinka who has no power in his office whatsoever. Pelinka has now hired his third coach. Now, I'm not saying this is all on Rob Pelinka, but if he ever has a desire to lead any franchise, he has to quit this job because he never stood up for himself, ever. When Magic Johnson and his cabal faced off against Phil Jackson and these two warring sides kept trying to woo the favor of Jeannie Buss, what did that mean? It meant that the Lakers piddled away years upon years to pass the Celtics for the most NBA championships. And now the glamour franchise of the league will be run by a guy who had a podcast. And that's the memo. You tell me what you think. Now, we were talking about likely Clippers free agent Paul George earlier this week, and I made an offhand comment. That is arguably the best free agent available. He did have some power, Absolutely. But if he kept jerking everybody around, if he kept playing coy, then teams would consider filling their roster gaps in other ways. Check the receipts. Now there's a report suggesting the Philadelphia 76ers' interest in George is waning, quote, significantly. This is according to The Athletic. The question is if the Sixers are starting to think whether they won't land George or maybe they fancy somebody else instead. The Sixers team president said they wanted a forward who could produce in the playoffs because after all, they already have a center and a guard that they obviously believe in. If the Sixers do move on from George, they do have at least one fallback option in a forward. OG Anunoby, for example, he could opt out of his contract with the Knicks. Now, the next best forward is probably DeMar DeRozan, but I don't know necessarily if he fits in with what the Sixers want. Either way, the point I'm getting at, George might wind up playing himself a little bit too much and might wind up returning to the Clippers on their terms. Clayton Kershaw pitched 3 innings out in Rancho Cucamonga in his first rehab start Wednesday. He allowed a run, struck out 5. Kershaw described his pitching as okay. He is expected to make a few more starts in the minors before returning to the Dodgers. Are you a Chargers fan? Because if so, I want to give you a heads up. I am not asking this as something that I know is fact, as much as it is something for you to keep an eye on. And here's the question. Is Justin Herbert truly elite? I'm not saying he sucks. Don't go there. That's not where I'm going. But consider how high the bar is to be a truly elite quarterback. One of those factors is availability, health. You have to be on the field to make that overwhelming positive impact that an elite player can make. CBSSports.com has a columnist who I think is really on his game in Pete Prisco. The guy comes out every year with a list of the top 100 NFL players. Herbert dropped 19 spots to 41st. As a matter of fact, there are 4 so-called elite young quarterbacks who dropped at least 12 spots. Herbert, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Jalen Hurts. And they all have something in common. They were all injured for major parts of the 2023 season. So you can say all you want about Herbert's skill, and believe you me, we agree, he's got a lot of it. But if the Chargers have to go to Easton Stick again, they're screwed. Let's be honest about that. So you tell me if Justin Herbert, if he's not available, still qualifies as an elite quarterback. And you let me know what you think in the comments thread. Talk to me. I promise I'm not going to hate on you. Tell me if I'm wrong about my thoughts on JJ Redick. Do you now believe Paul George might return to the Clippers? And if you enjoyed the content, don't forget to subscribe to Faithful Angelenos. We're talking LA sports every single day here. Thank you for watching. I'm James. We'll be back tomorrow. Faithful Angelenos is a Kian Corte El Queso production. Take care.